we're going to show how easy it is to deploy a Kafka connector by deploying and testing the Kafka MongoDB source connector to StreamNative Cloud. Here I am in my org. I have an instance called my instance and a cluster called my cluster. If I go ahead and select the public tenant and the default namespace, I'll go over to connectors on the left tab and I'll select Kafka sources. I currently have none deployed, so there's none shown here, but I'll go to create Kafka source here and select MongoDB connector. Under the source name, I'll call it the MongoDB source, and I'll select my service account. This service account requires a service account binding as well as additional permissions that are described in the documentation, which I've linked to below. For authentication secrets, this is how the connector is going to get into the MongoDB database. If you're using a cloud provider, they should be able to supply that fairly easily. If I select authentication secrets and say create secret, you'll have to give it a name. And then this is where you would put in those credentials or that MongoDB connection URI. And you also need to create an SSL trust store password and SSL key store password. I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of this since I already have my authentication secret saved. I'm going to reuse one that I created previously. Then go ahead and submit, and we'll be heading back to the Kafka sources page where it's going to say unassigned. If you wait just about probably less than a minute, you go ahead and refresh at the top of the page, and it should say that it's running. I can go to my MongoDB cluster. Here I have one called my MongoDB cluster. And the database is called Pulsar, and there's a collection called messages. I'm going to manually insert a document here, and I'm going to just give it a field called name, and the value is going to be a string value of my name. The MongoDB source connector will now take this data and move it over to the Pulsar topic. So let's head on over to the StreamNative UI and take a look at that topic. Back in StreamNative UI, still in the public tenant and default namespace where we deployed the connector, if I go to topics, you'll see that a topic got created called pulsar.messages, which is a concatenation of the database and the collection in MongoDB. We're now ready to consume that message. Here in IntelliJ, I have some Java code that uses the Kafka protocol. We're going to be consuming from the topic called pulsar.messages. And for each record, I'm going to print the value to the terminal. If I go ahead and right-click on our Java code and click Run, we should see that in just a second, the Kafka protocol will receive the message and print the entire contents out to the terminal. If I go ahead and scroll to the right, you'll be able to find the name field with my name.